So, good morning. We are now on our SW131, Week 7, on the knowledge and philosophical foundation of social work profession. It's our Week 7 already. It's all about introduction, no? Introduction lang po to sa social work practice. Okay, now this particular chapter right now is we are going to tackle about what the social worker needs, no? Para maging equip siya. No, we're talking here about values, knowledge, skills that would equip a social worker in the field in a certain situation, okay? It's always service focused and highly specialized content sa social work. And since we know that social work really was conceptualized or really was influenced galing sa US talaga. Kung titignan natin, the first Filipino who obtained diploma in social work, Jose Pahara Martinez, no, nag-aral doon sa US. So, social work, particularly in the Philippines, not just in Philippines, even in other country, consistent of Trinity. It's all about the three primary method of social work: casework, group work, and community organization practice. Separate methods, the method of casework as well in the social work. No? It's all about the individual, group, and the community. In the United States, we also have the concept of the integrated method of social work practice, or what in that country is commonly referred to as generalized approach. Okay, so Herbert Bishno considered his politic conceptualization because the inclusion of quantitative attributes, potential transaction unit designation, no? So size dimension, it's all about we have here one of the these are the 9 methods na pwede natin gamitin sa social work. Okay? So, of course, social work also encompasses an indifferent system. We have the micro approach strategies, the macro, and of course, we have also the meso. We will further discuss it on our subject, social environment in social work. It's our social work 133. And these are the essential elements in social work practice. We have here the client, or other authors called it the person, no? The purpose of social work. The client as the person, the worker as the change agent or the professional, and the problem and the process. Social work is also a plan change. Hindi po to kumbaga gusto mo lang magbago yung isang tao, wala ka nang plaplanuhin. Plaplanuhin po natin yung pagtulong. Okay? In social work is defined as the change originating from a decision to make a deliberate effort to improve the system and to obtain help of an outside agent in making this improvement. We have the term client system is comprised of an individual or even a group or even a community, family. The term client system can mean any of the following: a person, system, a person, a group, an organization, or even a community. We also have an outside agent, we call it the professional, the professional change agent who works with particular client system. Of course, we have the problem or the situation na tutulungan or gagawa natin ng plan change. We have here the phases of the problem. And of course, hindi mawawala dyan yung we have here, these are the concept of change force, lipit. Change force is an aspect of the situation which increase the willingness of the client to make the proposed change. It's understandable. Ito po yung mga sitwasyon na kumbaga yung client talaga nagkakamero ng willingness. That's a change force, no? The following general forces serve stimulus for change. Ito yung mga forces na our continuous search for opportunities, our need to utilize, And of course, we also have the resistance force. Kabaliktaran lang po ito ng change force. This is which reduces the willingness of the client. Marami pong factors yan bakit nangyayari yan. And of course, we also have the problem in social work arises from the need or obstacle or accumulation of frustration or adjustment and a lot more, since in the Philippines, our clients have multifaceted problem. Client system in social work, it is usually an individual, family, small group, or even a community. The concept of community is broad, and it includes hospital, tenement housing, project, factory, a lot more. System made up of interacting parts. And of course, we have the professional change agent or the social worker whose helping function in the country today are more often than not facilitated by paraprofessionals, on the of indigenous community leaders and of course volunteers. And now we move on to social work helping or problem solving process. Okay? So here's our framework. Social work has primary method, casework, group work, and community organization. And of course, its secondary method, social administration, social action or social reform. It has the what, okay, or the basic, ano ba talaga, no? Bakit tayo social work? Because we have philosophical base. And of course, the why of the what, the knowledge base of social work. The philosophy, values, belief about man, principles, ethics, history, no, the why we do this, because we have history, social welfare policies, programs, or SWPP, human behavior, and social environment theories. Social work practice, the how, because we have goals and functions, okay, in social work. This is the framework talaga. The problem solving process, or PSP. First is the problem. No, it is an unmet needs which hamper the undermine the person. No, ito po yung sinusolve ng social worker talaga problema. Kaya nga we are intervening sa mga kliyente kasi nga there is indeed a problem. Okay, maybe a deficiency, it may be due to disturbances or expectation, usually resulting to stress. Psychological man yan, social, or physical. The social work problem-solving process. Problem solving in a series of planned activity. Kaya nga plan change. Each phases of stage requires the application of use of necessary social work knowledge skills that assist individuals. The origin of problem-solving process. So, of course talaga, no, ever since talaga, even in doing things, no, we have this process talaga kung paano natin ginagawa paano tayo nagsosolve ng mga bagay. John Dewey proposed here 5 phases of reflective thinking. So, ano to? No, and of course, no, nagpropose siya dito. It consists of steps, no, John Dewey, no. Okay, in order to solve the problem, a person follows the rational, no? Meaning, we follow rational thinking talaga in solving a problem. And of course, in 1940s, George Spulya, a mathematics professor, no, developed the model of problem solving. Kasi ito yung kan John Dewey in 1933 and kan George Spulya. Now, it's more about the first step talaga is recognizing the problem. The second step is specify, no, or devising a plan, no? Carrying a plan, and then selecting the solution sa napiling plano and carrying the solution, no, carry out. The social work problem solving framework, according to Helen Harris Perlman. Perlman is the author of problem solving framework in social work, particularly in casework. She describes social work as the process as a progressive transaction between professional helper and the client, consisting a series of problem solving operations. Social work problem solving framework, according to Helen Harris Perlman, includes study, diagnosis, and treatment. So in study, the facts is constituted and bear upon the problem must be a certain graphs. Diagnosis, it's all about facts gathering pa rin, since assessment kasi is a product in a process, so hindi siya mapuputol. Even up to termination talaga, meron pa rin talagang assessment. A diagnosis, no, kumbaga, more in-depth, facts gathering. And of course, treatment. Ito yung proposed ni Helen Harris Perlman. Generic steps in social work problem, no? It's more on general. Ito yung pinaka-general talaga na term. Of course, recognition of definition. So, this is the generic steps, okay? Don't be confused. The second one is the data collection, assessment, goal setting, intervention of the carrying out the action, or sometimes nga ang tawag sa intervention is action, plan, implementation, or treatment. Okay? Or carrying out an action. Evaluation, of course, termination. Ito yung kaibahan, no, ng mga different authors, no? Florence Hollis, an author particularly in casework, Robert D. Binter, and Arthur Dornham. So more and more, they have 3 phases talaga. Sometimes assessment, planning, action, evaluation, termination. Diyan po, nahuhulog yung mga plano nila. Okay? Strength-based practice po yung social work. Kumbaga, if we have a client talaga, no, we focus on the client's strength, resources, and coping abilities, making them capable of change and as an active participants in change process. Okay? Ito po yung ibig sabihin ng instance-based practice principle. Of course, social work, no, believes in the person, environment, interaction, transaction, underpinning the concept of helping process. The ecological or life model practice espouses the view that transaction takes place between the people, hindi lang sa tao, pati na rin sa environment. Talagang nangyayari yan, no? May process na nangyayari dyan. Meaning there is a consistent striving in people to achieve goodness of fit with their environment. Okay? And of course, we have here the components of problem-solving process. We have here the place or the nature, the agency or the resources, the person, the problem, and of course, we have the process. Take note talaga, ang next talaga ng problem process. Kasi bakit ka mag-move sa isang proseso na wala palang problema? Okay? So, here's the components or the purpose yung sinasabi ko nga. Nature. We have the agency. Nature of agency or resources, a place, a structure by which it organizes and delegates its responsibility and tasks, and governing policies and procedures that establishes and systematize its operation. Okay? Mga employees dyan, mga social worker, nandyan yung social worker. The nature of the problem, social work is concerned with the problems and functioning. So, dapat talaga alam natin yung problema ng isang kuan. Kasi, ang hirap kasi, kung mali yung pagka-understand mo sa problem, yung solution mo rin, susunod yan. Which rest mainly in the interpersonal relationship in negotiating with systems in environment or in role performance. The problem and three frame of reference. Okay, so ito yung dapat, no? Ito yung paano natin tinitignan ng problem. Here's the three frame of reference concerning the problem. We have here the immediate problem. The problem about which the client is most concerned about. Now, this causes the current difficulty in the client. And of course, we have the underlying problem. The overall situation is created and tends to perpetuate the immediate. Okay, so, I believe, no, itong immediate problem, it's more on the presenting problem, no, or the threat, what we see as threat. Working problem, no, or meaning yung these are the contributory factors that stand in the way of both remedy and prevention that must be dealt. Okay, we have here the working problem, kung ano yung pinili natin na susolusyonan that stands in the way of both remedy and prevention. The working problem. Gagawin namin to because it will produce a remedy and of course the prevention para hindi maging worse. And we have here the case of Casey. Okay? Just read it, no? And the nature of the client as a person. So, client refers hindi lang sa tao, isa-isang person. It refers also to family, group, community, as a focus of social workers helping activity. The person who comes to seek help as voluntarily or involuntarily or even by outreach or required to use help as involuntary client. Okay? The client means in also his or total self-biological. So, pag pumupunta na po yung client sa atin, no, hindi niya lang po dinadala yung problema niya. Of course, client also brings his self, biological ba yan, psychological, cultural, spiritual, a unique person in a unique situation. Okay? Typology of clients. Those who ask help for themselves, for another. For themselves, it talks about the walk-in, okay, the voluntary. For another person or system, nirefer. And for reaching personal goals or agenda for appropriate goals. Those who do not seek help but in some way are blocking or threatening. So, yan po yung typology of clients natin. Hindi po porket siya lang yung may problema. Kliyente din natin yung some way, yung nagiging block, dapat din natin yung isolve. Elements of change per client. Person's motivation to change. Person's opportunity for change. Person's capacity to change. Okay? Person's capacity to change includes relationship, the emotional capacity, the ability to relate satisfactorily with self, the family, and the others. Problem solving. This relates cognitive development, social intelligence, and perceptiveness, ability to communicate. Biophysical, one's biological constitution or handicapping condition, physical characteristic, health, and genetic factors. Next is the nature of client-worker relationship. The problem-solving process is a helping analytical. Dapat siya analytical. Ina-analyze talaga. Hindi pwede pataka lang, no? Therapeutical. Process involved dynamic client-worker relationship. It is a professional relationship. Okay? It is to help client use and mobilize his or inner outer resources. It is to equip client with a way of coping. We are talking now about the process, okay? And is problem-solving process and helping process the same? So, ano po yung sagot natin dyan? First of all, no, social work problem-solving process is a cognitive process, rational and procedure, follow sequential step. While social work helping process po, iba po yung problem-solving at saka helping process. Not just a cognitive process, but involves relationship. So, kumbaga po, yung problem-solving process, compared sa helping process, yung helping process kasi, it's more in-depth. Okay? Kasi it includes also there, no, professional values and ethical principles guide this relationship. And we have here, no, the steps in social work helping process. The first one is the assessment and planning. That consists of beginning phase. The intervention or the middle, it consists of being a middle or intervention phase na siya. And of course, the ending phase, the evaluation and termination. Helping process, relationship, working relationship, or helping relationship, isa lang po yan. It is the basic concept in social work. Having that effective client working solving, problem solving effort. Client working relationship, the helping puts the emphasis, no? It is crucial kasi nga, it can spell the difference between successful or unsuccessful problem solving po. Importante po yan. Components of helping relationship. Reality, meaning dapat realistic and objective perception of existing condition. Transparency, dapat po tignan natin itong mga components na to. Ito yung a type of reaction the client displays on a worker on a particular feelings, meaning parang masasabi ng client ba, ay, worker, katulad ka ng namayapa kung ina ganon. And we must be observing that kind of components. It operates through mechanism of projection and identification. So, kumbaga, para na po siyang pumapasok po sa defense mechanism. Counter-transference, kabaliktaran yan. Yan yung nafe-feel ng worker, no, sa client. Other important elements in helping process, workers' value system, no? Dapat, yung worker talaga, magkameron ng self-awareness. Kasi nga, baka maging bias siya, no, in his religious, personal, and even cultural values. How he can help the client. Other important elements in helping process, the authority. No, there are two sources of authority. No, meaning the social worker position and the possession of knowledge. No, ikaw talaga na worker talaga, dapat you have the confidence. Siguro kaya walang authority yung isang social worker kasi nga, he is not sure about his position or his knowledge, hindi equipped. Ganon po. And steps in the social work helping process. We move on to assessment. We know according to Sirupin that the process and assessment is the process and a product of understanding on which action is based. So it's more on dito talaga ina-understand natin yung bakit tayo gagawa ng action. Kasi hindi pa kasi to action eh. Bakit tayo gagawa ng action? Paplanuhin natin ano yung problem. We have here psychosocial assessment is used to denote more holistic, inclusive, and comprehensive view of interpersonal and multiple facets of clients' life, understanding of the person in the context. Assessment as biopsychosocial assessment, we have biological context. No, it includes past physical conditions, genetic factors, and the like. Illnesses, mga sakit, no, genetic abnormalities, social context, ito yung passes ng social relationship of the client. Psychological dimension, no, it's more on psychological matters of the client. And other social support, social environment resources, stressors, and culture. Assessment, the major task during this stage is more on information and data gathering and problem definition. No? Dinidefine, kumukuha ka ng information, dinidefine mo yung problem. Okay, and problem for work. Dapat mo yung malaman sa assessment pa lang ano yung pagtatrabahuan mong problem. It's problem for work. These tasks culminate in the worker's writing of an assessment statement or a problem definition. In the past, the term were used diagnosis or social diagnosis. However, assessment statement appears in most social work literature and seems also to be referred term in the field of practice, especially today. So, information of data gathering. So, dito po tayo, ito po yung mga sources, no, of information natin. We have the primary source, meaning client man yan or community, yan yung main source mo, direct mong kinukunan. Of course, we assess that informations through secondary sources by significant others. Siblings ba yan or other communities kung ang kliyente mo agency ba or community. And of course, we have the existing data or it includes records or other reports from other agency or professionals. And of course, workers' own observation. Principles in data gathering, parsimony. Social worker collects only those information that has relevance. Yan po yung parsimony. Kung ano lang yung importante na data, yan lang yung i-collect mo. Principle in data gathering, no? The client should be the main source. Data to be gathered should be direct relate. Nakaka-relate dapat. Client should be informed kung saan ka kukuha ng data. Data collection is continuous process. Kaya nga, assessment is a product and of course a process. Type of client and general nature of the problem can guide the worker. Initial contact with the client initiates the contact. Yan po yung voluntary. Meaning, pumupunta yung client sa teller or meaning sa social worker sa agency. We call it walk-in sometimes, no? Nagwo-walk-in ka, meaning nilalabi mo yung help mo through introducing yourself, ano yung problema mo. And the next, initial contact, by the way, no, this is intake already. Intake is the process, no, or by which the client achieve its client status. The client is referred to as the worker by agency in some interested, no. So, kumbaga, nire-refer ng isang tao, no. The client is referred to the worker, tao man yan. Tao ba yung nag-refer to kahit sinong concern, no? To by a relative. Ang tawag po dyan, no, is referral. Iba po yung term na transfer. It is when naging client na yung client, yung tao, no, may kaibahan po kasi yung transfer at saka referral. Yung referral po, may isang concerned citizen nag-refer sa client sa agency, saka sa naging client. Yung transfer po, naging kliyente na siya, ni-refer lang siya ng social worker sa other social worker. Kumbaga, tin-transfer yung kaso. Okay? And it's called involuntary clients. And of course, the agency, nakikita natin ito, no? Ito yung mga rescue operations. We call it outreach program. Okay? Useful tools for assessment. We have EcoMap. Also referred to as EcoMap or ecogram. This is simple paper and pencil simulation that presents the individual or family and the major system in life space, as well as the nature of the individual's family relationship with these various systems. Now, take note, EcoMap were developed in 1975 by Dr. Anne Hartman, who is also credited with creating the genogram. Okay? So, ito po yun, okay? So, take note, class, dapat malaman mo yung kaibahan ng genogram at saka EcoMap. Okay? Another useful tool for assessment is genogram. A genogram is geographic representation of a person's family relationship and history. It is a unique type of families research diagram. It records family members and their relationship to each other. It also shows many of their physical and physiological attributes to elaborate system and symbols. So, ito yung genogram, okay? Yung genogram, it's more, tignan natin yung kaibahan, okay? Diba? Halos kuan lang, similar lang yun. O, ito yun, kuan nila, okay? So, determine its kuan. More on, dapat alam mo yung definition para malaman mo. Useful tools, family tree. It is a tool of analysis that illustrates the linkages between a set of complex, hierarchical related factors of the family. Cause and effects, no? Here's the family tree. Depende sa'yo kung ano yung shape na gagamitin mo. Just have a map. Intake process is a process by which the potential client achieve the status of being a client. Intake process undertake through intake interview, initial engagement. Okay? Presenting a problem, no? It is a problem that is a threat, no? Presenting problem. Ito na po yung it is a problem that is a threat. Nakikita natin yung threat. Okay? Meaning it is a problem to magiging weight, no? Kumbaga nagiging burden talaga sa client. No? It can be symptoms, behavioral configuration, needs, problem definition, problem for work. Dapat alam natin yung meaning in specific terms. Means any of the following. The problem or part of the problem that the client feels. The problem or part of the problem that worker's judgment is most critical. The problem or part of the problem that in the worker's judgment are most readily yield to help. The problem that part of that falls within the action parameters. Okay, yan po yung problem for work dapat. Steps in defining the problem. Worker must recognize the client's unmet needs. Worker must identify the blocks to fulfillment. Worker must determine the strength, limitations, motivation of the client, and so on. Types or categories of problem. We have interpersonal conflict. It's more on about relational problem of the client, dissatisfaction in social relationship. No, one may feel unable to get close to others. Next is inadequate resources, no, poverty, deprivation, difficulty in role performance. It's all about inadequacy in social role. Types or categories of problem, no? We also have problems of social transition, no? Meaning in divorce. Kumbaga, ito yung role nila, nagkamero ng transition. Having a baby, moving to a new place, okay? Psychological or behavioral problems, problems with formal organization, problem in decision making, cultural conflicts, okay? We have also techniques in problem definition class. First is partialization, no? Refers to the process of separating many problems of the worker and or the worker's specific problem which are to become the focus. Prioritization, ito yung kaibahan. Problem are taking precedence over the other, no? Yung partialization, dinidivide mo. No, you are separating. Prioritization, or meron ka pina-prioritize talaga na problem. Case study, after the necessary relevant information pertaining to client and the problem had been obtained, compiled, this information are organized and synthesized, and the worker prepares a case study. Okay? Recommended content. Ano yung content dapat na mayroon ng case study natin? First is identifying information of the client. Background information, problem definition, assessment, helping goals. So, ito na po yun, no? This compose of the case study natin, okay? Ito. Okay? Writing an assessment statement. Ito yung components of an assessment statement according to Maria 1990. We have the opening causal statement, change potential statement, and judgment about the seriousness, urgency of the problem. Writing an assessment, characteristics of an assessment. It is ongoing kasi nga it is a process. It focuses on understanding the client and the situation, and it is a mutual process, both the worker and the client. There is a movement, both horizontal and vertical. Assessment identifies the needs in life situation. Assessment is individualized. Hindi pwede copy-paste mo natin yung assessment sa isang tao. Okay? Judgment is important by the worker. Hindi po yung judgmental. Ha? Kumbaga, it is according to the worker's professional judgment, as according to the theories, behavioral theories na nalalaman ng worker. No assessment is ever complete. Kung titignan natin, sabi nga ng book, diba, according to Max Seropin, assessment is a product and a process of social work. It cannot be done. Even in termination, meron po tayong terminal assessment. Planning. It is the link between assessment and intervention. No? The end goal of planning is plan change. Planning, the two major tasks are involved in the plan. No? Goal setting and planning the intervention. Dapat may goal ka. Goals are we have the helping goals. Goals are ends. Goals should have the following characteristic. It should be smart, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time-bound. It's so understandable, okay? Goals, how was the level of goals? Ultimate or optimal or general goal, meaning it's all about generic term goals. Stated the final, and of course we have the interim or intermediate goals, also referred to as objective, and of course we have the immediate goals. Progressive or supplementary goals focus on the ongoing work. Ano yung mga progressive? Okay? Plans, also referred to as helping plan, action plan, or intervention plan. Dito na it consists of the specific action nor steps to be undertaken, no? Jointly made by the worker and the client. Plans, or we have here the unit of attention. Other system are the focus of the, meaning may focus ka. Plans, strategy is defined as an overall approach to change a situation. Note, the social worker can choose one or more of the models approaches in helping study. Hindi po isa lang. Diba? We discuss in chapter 8, I think, no, the models and approaches. Hindi po isa lang sa plano. Dapat marami po. Factors that influence an intervention plan, the community, the agency, okay? The social problem, the worker, plan, and the client. Tinitignan natin kung ano ba yung community ng kliyente, ano ba yung agency, ano ba yung resources, gaano mo na-understand yung problem, of course, the worker and the client. Okay? The helping contract, dapat may helping contract po tayo. Okay? Sets the expectation and terms. Mas better nga yung helping contract natin in social work po written. Kumbaga, it's more on accountability para sa kliyente natin. Okay? At para din sa atin, it's our protection at some point. It includes problem statement goals. Okay, client. You are now our client. Ito yung social contract natin na kung ito yung gagawin natin, you approve to this, pinagplanuhan natin to, and of course, kung absent ka, I could terminate you in the group. Okay? Hindi na kita kliyente, ganun. Okay, so yun lang yata, no? And salamat sa pakikinig. Yun lang.